Magic is found in every room, where people connect over a shared purpose. Luke, Hannah and Chris explore the role of purpose, courage, mindset and culture in every leader's quest for transformational performance.
Hello and welcome to Magic in the Room. I am Hannah Broadroot.
And I'm Luke Freeman.
And I'm Chris Province. And, I just had so many takeaways from our first conversation around mattering and how leaders can engage with direct reports, the members of their team, to make certain that we have these cultures where people feel significant. And in that conversation, we stayed primarily around the idea of internal teams and one-on-one. But I know a lot of our work, our experience, our data is tied to really guest or customers.
Yep.
And this idea that companies can actually create environments where the truth around whether or not a guest or a customer feels like they matter is undeniable.
Yeah.
There is processes and codes, provided we have that clear strategic framework of, hey, here's what we're here to do. Here's our greatest good. Here's the standards from which we're going to operate from as a community. These guiding principles, when we have those things to set the table, we really have an opportunity to codify experiences and create the right environment, consumable experiences, and quote unquote leader content to make guests and customers super loyal, which is where our revenue growth really comes from.
Yep.
So I'd like to dive into that today, and with this understanding that when we think about this idea of mattering, it's about noticing and affirmations and people feeling needed.
Yeah.
Right. So with that kind of lens of, let's walk through some frameworks. This idea of service.
Before we get to frameworks, I feel like I have to say this. It was a little bit of a mind blower to me whenever I connected this mattering and guest experience together. I mean, we've talked about guest experience a lot. I've been a part of service organizations my entire life, but it was somehow just mind exploding to be explicitly our customers, guests, clients, whatever constituents should feel like they matter to us and to our community, our organization, our company, whatever. And if they feel like they matter, that's
it.
That's
kind
of it.
And it's a differentiator, not to put too much of a, strategic lens on this, but it is what matters. It is what matters for its own sake, but also for the growth of the organization.
Yeah. And I get that it's kind of semantics, right? That it's kind of not that different. We don't really have to change our models of great guest experience, but I don't know, it's just super impactful to me because it gives me that one thing that I can really use as a litmus test for everything. What's our organization's purpose? Do our guests feel like they matter in fulfilling that purpose?
Yeah. And I want to just pick up on, in our previous episode, Chris, you ask every leader, does every team member does every team member here matter? And usually people will say yes. And then when we ask, do they all feel like they matter? Or do they know that they matter? And do they feel that? Then the answer may or may not be a resounding yes. And if we ask the same question,
exact same,
does every customer or every guest here matter to you and to this organization? The answer should be yes, because without customers, we don't make any revenue, and it's people spending money with our company, organization, resort, whatever product that helps us stay in business. So yes, from that perspective, they matter, but do they feel like they matter?
Right. There can be dissonance there,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Just an easy question like, okay, fist to five, five being you're hyper confident, every guest without fail knows that they matter,
Mm-hmm.
okay, versus your belief that they do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So how confident are you, 0 to 5, that
Mm.
every guest or every customer understands how much they matter?
Mm.
Yeah.
And the confidence level in the room is not nearly as high as
Mhm.
how we hold them in regard,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? On a tactical basis. So
Well, if
yeah,
can I share a little story?
yeah.
Is it might put us off track.
No, I just want to say like there is a mind shift that goes with this, that a lot of times team members or employees of an organization look at the organization as the source of their well-being,
Mm.
Yeah.
because so much is focused on our, like, what are we doing day to day, the tactics, my
Yeah.
governance, my resource is garnered from the organization, but
Hmm.
the organization only has that resource because of the customer.
Yes.
So a lot of times team members turn their focus towards the organization as being the provider, and it takes leadership to focus the eyes, right, and hearts
Mm.
and minds of how we design experiences, like what content we might have if you're at an integrated resort type property, what's the programming. We have to retrain our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because ultimately that's what shifts the focus of the organization, provides energy more towards that experience, which creates healthy brands where
Mm.
even customers can say, yes, that company believes what I believe, and people like me buy that thing
Yeah.
or go to that place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Just real quick story, because I've always go back to a retail job I had where I was selling outdoor products. So I was selling backpacks and canoes and water purifiers and whatever, headlamps and stuff to people that came into a store. And I knew I was good at it because I didn't sell people the most expensive piece of equipment if they didn't need it.
Mm-hmm.
And I could have,
Mm-hmm.
or I could have told them, oh, that one's no good. You should really think about this. Look at these features. But I was like, this dude is going to go out like 2 times. He's not going to go very far, right? He doesn't, I can see what car he drove up because there's big plate glass windows everywhere. Like, he does not need the $350 pack. He needs
Mm-hmm.
the $125 pack, and he will like it just as much. And so I would ask questions and get to know him and what they were going to do, and then sell them the thing that best fit their needs. That was that person mattering, right? And there were some other things I learned there too. Like, the cool thing that store did, it was Lewis and Clark in Rogers, Arkansas. They have a couple other stores in Northwest Arkansas. Like, they did some things well, some things I questioned. Their owner was very insistent that every team member pay a quarter when they took a drink out of the fridge. And I think he was trying to teach people character, but not how it was received.
Hmm.
But the idea that we would offer guests drinks and go get them a drink and all of that, and then this, like, me having the ability to sell them what they needed instead of the most expensive item in the store, like, that was the guest mattering. That was the customer mattering, but I did not have that language.
Mm.
Right. And how much more empowering would it have been to me if someone had said, hey, I saw what you did there. Like, you cared about that person and what they needed, and we sold something.
Mm.
Win. You paid for yourself today. Like, that's a win. Right. Yeah. So I to me, like, I think about that and I think, man, I want to go be that manager, and I want to give that message to our team and say, you really matter here. And if you can make our guests understand that they really matter to us and how they matter to us and their experience matters, and our purpose is to get people connected to the outdoors and having the best experiences possible and remove the barriers between them and a cool adventure outside. I'm just making stuff up here. Like, that would have been really powerful, like, messaging to be equipped with. So anyway, that's what's in the back of my mind when I say, like, mind blown. This feels really powerful to me.
Yeah. And I think it's, I don't know if it's fair to expect that every personality archetype is going to want to be the person that wants to make people feel like they matter,
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like some archetypes are, hey, I want to build things. I want to look at my work and say, man, isn't that beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's a little bit of that in archetypical alignment of your employee base to the service or product you're actually delivering.
Yeah.
So I think we have to understand that, or at least give a nod
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and know that sometimes those can be misaligned just given demographics and economics of particular trade region.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that sounded really dorky, but I think it's just something honest to say. It's hard because
Yeah.
thing is, like, well, when we talk about mattering, it just sounds like, being responsive and being kind and making sure things are in tip top shape. Like that's just good practice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, or that's common sense. Well, common sense isn't common practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's why,
I wish it was that easy.
yeah,
Yeah. You should
Mhm.
just do
but
those things.
yeah, and feel like, well, how come you have to create this formula, or this guide, or these kind of aids to, serve as a framework for people to follow? It's like, well, basically anything that's successful and repeatable
Mhm.
has a framework.
Yeah.
It has a formula.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, well, I don't want it to be too formulaic. Well, like that, if it's not, it will erode over time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But even, if you iterate a framework, great. But
Mhm.
to have something set to anchor to is always the idea.
Yeah.
Um, so, we started delivering, we've been delivering guest service since we started as a company,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and we have our own approach on it. It is, um, it's something that we've done a lot of empirical research around, and we've found a lot of success with courageous leaders and organizations as we've put this framework into play.
Mhm.
So, Hannah, you want to kind of give us some background, some, where this was born and how it looks and feels today?
Yeah, it's been a cool journey because for me, at least as far as my contribution to this team, that was one of the early things that you and I, Chris, worked on and came up with this pretty simple framework acronym to think about how do we put these practices into like actionable steps that teams can take, right? And I want to just preface a little bit by saying when we talk about service, it's really the technicals, and that changes depending on what department or function or role you're in, like the technicals of service. But there's some universals, right, that are true. And so I think when we first outlined this program, those three universals is really how we defined what is an excellent experience. And, you have to have three things. It comes down to relationship. Are people kind? Responsiveness. What's the timing of the response to the request? Or even can we be responsive without there being an explicit request? That's even more powerful. And then the quality, right? Lack of defects. Do we have a quality experience or quality service? Is the product without defect?
Yeah, and I think to bring that, just make that a little more clear. When you say technical service, it's I know how to use the system to check someone into the hotel,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But I can know that and still deliver something that's incorrect
Mm-hmm.
during the transaction. I may
Mm-hmm.
not show kindness.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be timely. So just because I have the technical skills to service a demand,
Yep.
right, whether spoken or unspoken,
Mm-hmm.
I can have the technical skills, but if I don't have the understanding,
Mm-hmm.
right, and uh, just kind of mastery of these domains,
Mm-hmm.
that our job is to respond to demands in a timely manner, provide products or experiences that are free of defect, at least to the
Mm-hmm.
best they can possibly be,
Mm-hmm.
and have kindness that moves relationships forward as we transact.
Yep.
Embracing that is the heart work of this. Understanding the framework, I think, is helpful.
Yeah.
But then what we know about how do we notice and affirm customers or guests, like we can codify that in framework as well, which is really
Mm-hmm.
the intention of
Mm-hmm.
what we do.
Well, and what I
Yeah.
like about this mattering concept is like those fundamentals of service that you talked about. Is it fast?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we responsive? Is it kind?
Mm-hmm.
And is it free of defect? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
especially those first two. Like, if I see you and respond in a timely way,
Mm-hmm.
right? Hear the phone ring and
Mhm.
respond in a timely way. And when I talk to you, it's kind, it's warm. I recognize you as a human being. Like, those are signals of mattering,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? You called and I picked up the phone
Yeah.
because you matter. You walked up and I acknowledged you because you matter as a human being.
Yeah.
I didn't treat you like someone I don't like
Yeah.
because you matter here. You have power here,
Yeah.
right? You have um, a thing about you that I see and I want to engage with, and that signals that you matter.
And I would argue that the third one, quality, also is a signal of how
Mhm.
much
Mm,
somebody or something matters
yeah,
because the devil's in the details. I serve you a bowl of soup and I was kind and friendly and it was hot and flavorful and it came out fast, but there's hair in my soup or that
yeah,
that I serve you that that can easily create a feeling of, well, apparently I don't matter enough for you to pay attention to that, right? Because
yeah.
now I have a suboptimal experience because there was a defect.
You know what I think about? I think about those items on Amazon or Temu or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna get this whatever, a basketball. I'm ordering a basketball and I don't read the tiny little print that says that it's a 3 inch in diameter basketball, right? So the thing shows up and I'm just like, oh, you got me.
Mhm.
You got me. I didn't look at the dimensions of the product, right? Or it's like a chest of drawers. And I'm thinking, I'm going to be able to put my underwear in this thing, right? And it shows up and it's like a dollhouse chest of, like, is there anything in the world that says you don't matter more than I designed and built and created this thing just to sucker you
Mm-hmm.
because I matter and you don't? So I don't know, popped in my head. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think this idea of like looking at everything through the mattering lens, like, isn't that just saying like if you sucker someone, all you're saying is like they don't matter.
Yeah.
Who
Well,
cares?
and so just to kind of put a bow on that those three universals, they do anytime there's one of these is missing, there's a breakdown in the
Mhm.
experience in the service. And that is also when we need to do some kind of service recovery, right?
Yeah.
So a breakdown in service is when one of those is missing, one or more, and it creates. I do believe that it creates a sense of in the guest or customer's experience,
Uh-huh.
a sense of I don't matter enough for you to pay attention to this.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the bridge between, mattering and the guest experience. And then, I also want to just point out as we frame this, right, the kind of service versus hospitality. We talked about service as kind of the technical service is really the things that we do,
Mhm.
right? But hospitality is how we make people feel. And if we can make people feel like they matter, it's more intangible, but it's not without skill that can be practiced, right? But it's a different skill than learning how to check people into the system.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, yeah.
The whole idea is if someone is valued, we know their name, we remember details.
Yeah.
Like it's the small details that someone remembers that confirms that I matter.
Mm.
There's a guy that I used to buy suits from. Um, his name was David. He had a men's store here in town. And I would say like the first two suits that I bought that weren't like strictly off the department store sale rack, I bought from David here in town. And I bought two suits. I did not go back to that store for 2.5 years. And when I walked back into the store, like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. He's like, you bought that tan and that blue suit, like the two Talias. I'm like, man, like, I'm never shopping anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And, so remembering details about people when we're in that position, I think that really matters. Checking in on people after the transaction, how do the suits fit? Or how's the hotel room? Is it to your liking? We talked about social skill decay. I mean, I think so much now, like it's all text and automation. Different generations consume that differently, but the meaning of someone reaching out or seeing me walk through the lobby and saying, hey, Mr. Providence, how's the room? Is everything to your liking? Is there anything I can do? Let me know.
Yeah.
Like it's a different experience.
Yeah.
Places where I don't have to stand in multiple lines. I don't have to stand in a line, to get a loyalty registration after I stand in a line, check into my room. Anyone that knows anything about operating systems understands like it is relatively simple to make that one stop and take care of both of those needs. So, that's when someone matters, we remember those details, we understand where they're at, how they feel about the transactions that they've made with us. And in that check-in, we understand not just their acute struggles.
Yeah.
In those conversations, we learn who they are. We learn about their kids or grandkids or spouse they used to have, or how their journey has brought them to where their feet are today. It's that. It's maybe by being interested and checking in, we really hear people. And we try to teach listening as a technical skill. When it kind of goes along with everything else, we have to want to hear. So I think for leaders that, any business that has customers, we have to, under this roof, virtually or brick and mortar, there has to be a lot of people that want to know. And that is something that is modeled by leadership and followed by the rest of the organization. I think the frameworks that we talk about just help to anchor through the idea of, well, we see what that leader is doing. They're probably leading with empathy. How do I do that?
Yeah.
You see what that leader's doing. They're grateful.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
Yeah.
Like I understand why I'm here. How do they do that? How do they know to do that? So I think having, a guide, a job aid, a framework. In this case, we'll talk about guest. It keeps us honest and oriented to the things that are, we'll say, most likely being modeled in a high performance organization, and allows us to practice how to do them until we can command that skill on our own.
Well, I think it helps us diagnose the system more accurately, right? If I say, hey, we're getting some lower customer service scores, what's the issue? It's not quite as powerful as saying, hey, let's look at our guest framework and let's see what our strength is and what our areas of improvement are. And same thing with mattering, right? How are people feeling like they matter? How are people feeling like they don't matter?
Yeah.
You want to walk us through just
Yeah.
as a
So,
refresh? I know we've talked about it before, but if as you kind of walk us through the the practices
hmm
of excellent guest service,
hmm
what I'm going to be thinking about is how does this practice make people feel noticed? How does this practice make people feel needed? How does it make them feel affirmed?
mm,
You know, and I'm going to listen with that lens and, maybe see where this takes me.
yeah, I love that. And I love what you said about, do people notice the details, right? And to remember the details, you have to intentionally notice and look for them and pay attention, right, to what's in front of you. So it starts with, the guest framework. It's an acronym. Um, greet with empathy. That's about making eye contact, smiling, showing kindness from that first moment of interaction um, or attention. And so for the from the moment someone walks in, right? Do we notice them by making eye contact, smiling, showing kindness visibly? And then the U is uncover needs. So are we asking questions that help us pay attention to the details that we then can remember later when it comes to, you know, matching offers to what people really need and want. So, and we teach a framework within Uncover Needs that's a 3-level questioning framework, right? Asking surface questions to establish rapport, situation questions to clarify what's going on, what do they really need, um, like what are they looking for, at least on the surface, and then those emotion questions, which really derive how do they want to feel, how do they feel, and how do they want to feel, and if there's a gap there, what are those underlying emotional needs that we can fill through the way we interact and provide service. And that is the differentiator, right? And I do think there's something there in that third level that has to do with significance, and we can maybe pull some thread on that. So as we walk through this framework, GUE is for expressing gratitude. And you mentioned, are people grateful? And I think in this case, we look at gratitude from both lenses. What does gratitude do for me? It has incredible benefits to your whole outlook on life, and practicing gratitude intentionally as a tool can actually help your brain chemistry where you feel more positive emotions and you feel more gratitude because you're noticing and you're paying attention to the things that are good and the things that are positive. So, as a service provider, if I practice gratitude, I can provide better service, but also then expressing that gratitude to our guests and thanking them for shopping with us, for playing with us, for interacting with our brand in whichever way that we provide a service or a product. S is sharing names. So, Chris, again, in your illustration, thank you, Mr. Province, for being here today. Remembering names, names are core to our identity. Right? I've been on a whole name journey this year as I claimed my identity as a US citizen. I also claimed a new name, which also has to do with the place that I live and being rooted. But names matter a lot to us. It's core to our identity. So when someone remembers our name, it helps us feel more significant because we're no longer a stranger. It kind of elevates our presence from an unknown to a known. And then the final piece in the guest framework is teaching benefits. So, benefits, advantages, what are all the things that you can see, do, experience while you're here with us or in our online experience, whatever whether you're at a physical location of your business, but what are all the benefits? But if we do all the other things before we make an offer, before you try to sell the guy the backpack, right? Which backpack do you sell him? Well, you got to match that to the needs and the interests of that person. And if we're really good at asking those questions that go to that third level of what is the experience gap or the emotional gap or the significance gap, we can offer something that helps fill each of those needs.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting inside of this framework, it happens acutely
Mm-hmm.
and in a very compressed way,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and it happens longitudinally
Yep.
over long periods of time.
Mm-hmm.
And over longer periods of time as the guest that makes significantly more and more contribution
Mm-hmm.
to the balance sheet of the organization,
Sure.
like there gets to be some level of authority.
Yeah.
Right. So, which is where they say, well, the customer's already right. That always right. That's a gross oversimplification of that dynamic where a loyal customer over time will generate some sort of authority or power within an organization, have a natural outcrop. But I do think how all of those steps can happen in a 30-second exchange
Yeah.
or over a 30-year
Relationship.
relationship, right? It has to exist in both places. But
Yeah.
we'll try a little role play here and follow this whole greet with empathy, uncover needs, express gratitude, share names, teach benefits. I could say, uh, if you're walking into a resort for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
I could say, well, hello, my name is Chris, and I'm here to make sure you have a great time.
Yeah.
I don't know that we've ever had the opportunity to meet, but I'm here to make sure you have the best experience possible. What brings you in today?
Well, I'm here on vacation with my family
Really, how far away did you travel from?
from Montana.
Did you all fly in today or drive in today?
Yep, we flew in this morning and it was 19 degrees in Montana and I just arrived and it's 70 degrees and sunny and I'm excited.
Hey, there's never a bad day on the Oregon coast. So really appreciate you guys. Now, did you guys get a chance to get something to eat before you got here?
No, we're actually really hungry and I was wondering what options are here.
Awesome. Well, we have everything you could want. We got an awesome casual restaurant if you guys are looking for something, sit down but pretty quick. We've also got a quick service with our food court. There's a great little seafood bar in there. You can get burgers, there's ice cream, whatever you guys want, there's quick service option there. If you guys are really looking for something a little more fine dining, we can do that too. We open at 4 o'clock there. But okay, and if you need any recommendations, menu items, if you need to get a hold of a host, like I'm more than happy to contact them for you. But outside of that, like we know you're hungry, we're going to get you fed. That'll be a great experience. What else are you looking to do while you're here?
Well, we hope to play some games and maybe find some trails and experience the coast in some different ways.
Awesome. Well, you're in luck because it's sea lion season. So the sea lions are all in the cave. They're only up there seasonally. That's where they go and do their thing, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But the scenery, the coast in that area, it's absolutely beautiful. That's something I would highly recommend. If you guys are also more adventurous, there's sand dunes around here. You know that movie Dunes? That was actually inspired by a person who was staying here and wrote about our area, but in a science
What?
fiction type of way.
I had no idea.
Way, way. And you mentioned playing games. Um, Something cool is if you guys play table games, we have an awesome progressive. Like that progressive is $246,000 today on our table games. It's just a little bonus bet. You play it; it's available on every table game that we have. Also, like my favorite game right now, Spooky Link for sure. Like Yo Yeti, great new game. If you like the newer video, high interactive type stuff, if you're more of a classical player, you like Double Diamonds, maybe Top Dollar, Wheel of Fortune, We have all of the mechanical product in our high limit room. It's absolutely awesome. We have great staff on the floor, MOD right now. Um, that's Greg. He'll take care of you guys out there. But is there anything else you guys might be looking for while you're here?
No, I think that's it. I just need some food, and then I
Yeah.
can make some decisions.
Well, again, my name's Chris, and I did not catch your name when you all came in.
I'm Hannah.
Hannah, it's wonderful to meet you. If you need anything at all while you're here, we are in it for you to have a best time. It's the only reason why we show up today. So if you need anything at all, let me know.
Well, thank you, Chris.
How do we do, Luke?
Pretty good. I felt like the awkward, spouse who was just standing there watching this.
I did not
interaction.
insinuate. She did not take you on as a spouse, in our exchange there. So you were just a podcasting bystander
Just
to
a
role play.
podcasting bystander.
Casual observer.
So
Yeah.
I was observing. You hit every one of those steps: greeting with empathy, uncovering the needs. I mean, that's where you spent a lot of the time, right? Really asking questions and pulling those threads. I heard very clearly, thank you for being here, expressing that gratitude. You definitely shared the names. And then a lot of that time, like while uncovering the needs, also teaching the benefits of like, why is this the best place to be? Right? Why do you fit here? You like adventure? Go check out the sea lions. You like games? Here's what makes us special. Yeah. And then I want to take it back to mattering too. Like anyone listening, like there's no way Hannah didn't feel like she mattered and was included and belonged there, right? I think about the things we mentioned earlier for mattering. Does someone feel noticed? Absolutely. Do they feel affirmed? You are hungry. We're going to take care of you. You want adventure. Here's how you're going to do it. And then needed. This is why we're here. You said explicitly, we're here to serve you and people like you. So like, yes, you are needed. Without you, we don't got like my day is not complete without you is essentially the message that I heard. And so, yeah, that's what I noticed.
And something that Jerry West and I talk about is this idea that if you have this approach, you don't have to sell.
Yeah.
There's nothing to sell.
Right.
All you're speaking to is like really being full chested about service, having confidence in the products that we offer, and saying, if you need this, then that. If you're looking for this, then this, right?
Yeah.
Because what you're looking for, we should be able to provide. Otherwise, I don't know why you're walking under this canopy, right? Like there's some insinuation that we might have something that you're looking for.
Yeah.
But when we go after it full chested, I think it opens up. And then just like you, like people will open up and speak. And if they don't, that's okay too. We're just confirming that someone's there to serve them. But when you juxtapose that experience to the person that walks into a business and no one engages with them,
Yeah.
or they just transact and hand them a room key with a number, or they bring a box up to the cashier and check out and we put it in a sack and say, thanks for coming in. So many opportunities are lost to create the bond between a guest or a customer and a business because we're not engaging. But you have to have people that have a propensity to engage.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, to kind of bring this home to even bridging back to our previous episode when we talked about what is mattering, in this context, it's about making people feel seen, feel heard, and feel valued. And then I think the learning for me, right, is they need to feel valued, but also feel like they are contributing value. So how do we do that from a customer or guest interaction, right?
Yeah.
How do we make sure that they know that we value them because they buy a product or a service from us? But also, what do they feel like they're contributing value where they like just interacting with us or being here or buying from us?
Yeah.
So a question to you, and then Luke, if you want to give us some final thoughts. But my question to you, Hannah, is if we can share, when we don't do this very often, but what I would ask is like when an organization or leader contacts us and says, "Hey, I'm interested in developing our team in this
Mhm.
idea of guest service."
Mhm.
Give us a little bit of a what's that look like? How do you engage with that team, or how do we engage depending on who's facilitating? What's it look like for them from a commitment standpoint? How do you ultimately get exposure and absorption across a multi-shift type hospitality organization? Like, just kind of walk us through if someone is interested in saying, "Hey, I'm interested in training our staff up or developing our team around this idea of a different approach to guest service," what does that look
Yeah.
like?
There's two ways to answer that. Learning is a process, not an event. And so we can make this an event based thing where everybody gets the same framework, right? But then it's really up to the organization, and we will support you, but how do you make that learning stick? And that takes time, right?
Mhm.
So, but just to answer the quick question of like, what does this look like? Well, it takes 8 hours to teach this entire program. And that's the foundations part where we really cover this guest framework with the 5 practices we just walked through. Then there's also a recovery aspect. So, what happens when the experience is broken somehow because there's a breakdown in either the relationship aspect, the responsiveness aspect, or the quality aspect, right?
Which is inevitable,
Yeah,
right? No
that
matter how good we are,
yeah, there's going to be breakdown.
opportunities or needs to recover the relationship will happen.
Yeah,
Best service organizations in the world have recovery
yeah,
opportunities, right? And the good news is we actually have opportunity for people to really believe that they matter even more in some scenarios than if they receive great service the first time. Like the recovery opportunity is amazing, and amazing relationships can be built.
yeah. And so, how that learning experience really breaks down, it's either 2 half days where we carve out 4 hours and we teach foundations in one sitting. And then the next month or the next year or whatever interval, we really focus in on the recovery piece. Or we can break it into 4 2-hour sessions over time. So maybe 4 months we come and do each part. And then in a multi shift environment, right, we are flexible and we would schedule these. So we would have group employees together. So if you're an organization that you can take everybody out for a day or 2 half days or 4 2-hour workshops, we can do it with everybody in a multi shift, especially, uh, always on environment. You got to do it a little differently. So, can we create the space, and do we value our team members enough to give them that time? And how do we cover the shifts? We'll work with you on that. But ideally, everyone in the organization goes through this. We can do it, time the waves so that everybody goes through it at a different time.
Yeah. And then we also offer assets, right? So we can white label the guest framework assets
Mhm.
to a particular organization,
Mhm.
tie that to your behavioralized values or whatever your strategic framework might be.
Yep.
I know this is something we're passionate about. We understand that it's the mindset and service orientation of the staff that ultimately creates that loyalty um, in the guest
Mhm.
and ultimately profitability and revenue growth for the organization. So, um, yeah, just thank you, Hannah, for your work around the product that's ultimately uh, helping so many organizations and people right now.
Yeah.
I couldn't even comprehend. It's in the thousands of people that have been through this process, and
Yeah.
so thank you for that. Luke, as you kind of look at what it means going forward. Where do you leave today?
I think this is a differentiator. And that's not a groundbreaking thought, but if I zoom way out, I think about many of our experiences with brands today. I'll speak for myself. I don't feel like I matter.
Mm.
I don't feel like I matter to Microsoft, but I pay them a lot of money every month.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I matter to Nissan,
Mm-hmm.
but they sure have my money. So, and I know I don't want to equate tech platforms or manufacturing with service organizations, but I think there are many service organizations that look around and say, oh, we have to be efficient in the same way that Facebook is efficient, right? Or in the same way that whatever it is, right? Coca-Cola is efficient. And that temptation is real. And there are lessons we can learn from emerging companies and industries like technology. And oftentimes we do that at our own peril. So I think if we've accidented ourselves into efficiency overall and are feeling some pain because of that, or if we have a young workforce that only understands customer service I'm going to put a ticket in with Facebook because my account got shut down and now I'm going to wait for whatever and a bot's going to respond to me or whatever, right? And that's what they understand service to be. Like, we have some work to do.
Yeah.
And so my encouragement with all of this is, like, there is a way to teach service. There is a way for our customers to feel like they matter and our guests to feel like they are guests and not numbers. And the more we lean into that and into the art form and into the methodology, the more we differentiate ourselves today. I think it's more important today than it was 20 years ago. Because, man, we have normalized a lot of shitty service. And time to unnormalize it.
Yeah, crappy products too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to take with me what you just said, Luke. Like, if a service organization leans themselves out like a car manufacturer, they won't have a product.
Yeah.
So understanding what game we're playing. Now, I imagine the impact of a manufacturer that would expand their offering into service. We've talked about that ad
Yeah.
nauseum.
Yeah.
Huge opportunity.
Yeah.
Because, like, after I buy my vehicle, nobody from Ford's called
Yeah.
to check in and see how it's going or what my challenges are.
Yeah.
I get some, maybe an email survey the week after I buy it, which I'm instructed to give all fives on, and they clear the hurdle before I leave the dealership. Like, it's so disingenuous that the opportunity is to really embrace, like, if we are a service organization, that we are committed to making people feel like they matter.
Yeah.
And I love that sport. That's the sport I want to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to, my closing thought, Chris, is on something you said in the opening. How can we, in order to really elevate the team member experience, the guest experience, how can we help our team members recognize that our guests or customers is the true source of their well-being? Because when the customers feel significant, feel like they matter, they are more loyal, which means our organization is stronger. So instead of looking at the organization as the source of our well-being, if we can help every team member see their customer as the ultimate source of thriving for the organization and for themselves, we might have a little shift in perspective on how we approach each guest.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for your work on this. If you're listening and you want to talk through guest experience and if there are ways that we can help you, or you just have questions, feel free to find us, get a hold of us, purposeandperformancegroup.com, or all of us are on LinkedIn and other social media platforms. You can find us there. Magic in the Room is a production of Purpose and Performance Group. Our producer is Ethan Babylon. Our theme music is by Evan Grimm. You can find his music on Apple Music. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you know that you matter and you matter to us. And we hope to see you out there sometime soon. Have a good one.